Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing something a little different. We're not doing our usual deep dive exactly. Instead, we're going to tell you a story.
Or, well, a few stories, actually.
Right, a collection of true stories. And they're the kind that take something totally normal, totally everyday, and twist it into something, well, pretty menacing. We're talking about grocery stores, places we go all the time, barely even think about it. But in these stories, they become these really unsettling backdrops for some genuinely creepy real-life encounters.
Yeah.
And these aren't just like urban legends someone made up. These are things that actually happened to people, experiences that left them with this really chilling feeling of dread.
And it's a powerful reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
How even the most familiar places we think are safe, can suddenly feel unsafe.
Exactly. How quickly that feeling of security can just vanish.
Yeah, it really gets under your skin when it happens somewhere unexpected like that.
All right, so let's get into the first story. Picture this. It's a 39-year-old mom. She has 3 kids. It's late, past 9 p.m., and she's at the King Collins Supermarket near her place.
Right, probably one of the few times she gets to shop alone.
Exactly. She's actually enjoying the quiet. The store's almost empty. It's her little bit of peace, So she's in the cereal aisle, just going through her list, and she feels a tap on her shoulder.
Oh, already a bit startling.
Yeah. She turns around, and there's this guy, very tan, about her height, wearing a baseball cap, red zip-up hoodie. He says, sorry for startling her, says he's been looking for these specific chips she has in her cart.
Okay.
She tells him where they are, politely. He acts confused, so she actually walks him over to the spot. She mentioned later she noticed he had awful breath when he thanked her.
Minor detail, but it adds to the picture.
Right, so she starts to walk back to her cart, thinks that's that. But he starts trying to make conversation. She called it pointless conversation, something about the chip ingredients, just silly stuff.
And she's trying to leave?
Yeah, she's inching away, making it obvious she needs to go, but he's just not getting it. And then he stops talking for a second, looks at her, and says, "Gosh, you're pretty."
Oh, okay, that's the shift right there, isn't it?
Definitely.
Because an interaction that maybe started okay, asking for help, it turns uncomfortable fast when someone ignores your boundaries like that.
Yeah.
And that compliment, in that context, it doesn't feel like a compliment.
No.
It feels like a violation almost. Like he's deliberately making her uncomfortable, ignoring that she clearly wants to disengage. It's a power thing.
Absolutely. She just thanks him, makes an excuse, gets back to her cart, but guess what? He follows her.
Of course he does.
So now she has to say it directly, politely as she can. I'd really just like to shop in peace. He finally seems to get it and walks off.
Seems to.
Right. But for the rest of the time she's shopping, she keeps seeing him. Circling the aisles. Every time he passes her aisle, he slows down or even stops and just looks at her.
Just staring.
Yeah. She's getting really uncomfortable now, obviously.
I bet. That feeling of being watched is primal. It sets off all sorts of alarms.
So she finally finishes, heads to the checkout, and wouldn't you know it, red hoodie guy gets in line right behind her with like 2 or 3 items.
Just enough to justify being there.
Exactly. Doesn't say anything, but she can just feel him staring at the back of her head. As she's leaving, he calls out, "Have a good night, ma'am." She just ignores him.
Lord.
She gets to her car, starts loading groceries, and sees him walking to his car. She described it as a junky-looking Honda, super old. He gets in, but he doesn't start the engine.
Oh, no.
He just sits there, watching her.
That's terrifying. That feeling of being watched, but then seeing them wait for you, that changes everything.
Yeah.
It's not just creepy anymore, it's a direct sense of threat. Your brain is screaming danger.
So she finishes loading up, pulls out of the parking lot, checks her rear view, no headlights following. She feels a little bit safer, maybe.
You hope so.
But then she pulls into her own driveway, looks down the street, and there it is.
The Honda.
The junky Honda. Headlights off. Driving slowly towards her house, it pulls over to the curb just a few houses down.
Oh my God.
She panics, rushes inside, locks the door, calls for her husband. He runs out to look, but the car's gone.
Vanished. But the damage is done. He knows where she lives.
It gets worse. The next weekend, late at night, they hear shuffling sounds outside in their side yard.
No.
Her husband looks out the window, sees someone right below trying to open the gate to their backyard.
It's him.
Has to be. The husband slides the window open, the guy looks up, sees him, and just bolts. Runs off.
Wow.
Her husband grabs a baseball bat they keep under the bed, runs outside after him. He sees the shitty Honda, as she called it, speeding away down the street. Tries to chase it, but it's gone. confirmed it was the same car.
Unbelievable.
They called the police immediately. Cops came quick, took it very seriously.
As they should. That's not just stalking anymore. That's attempted home invasion. Following someone home, then coming back to try and get into their yard.
Yeah.
That's a huge escalation.
Yeah.
It completely destroys your sense of safety, even in your own house. Okay. That's your sanctuary. Violated.
Yeah. The police report confirmed how serious it was. Thankfully, the guy never came back after that night.
Small comfort, maybe.
Right. She said she still lives with that awful feeling, just knowing that a creep like that knows where I live.
You wouldn't forget that. Ever. Ever.
Okay, so that was intense, persistent, direct stalking. Our next story shifts gears a bit. It's more about manipulation, weaponizing trust in what should be a normal environment.
Another late night scenario.
Yeah, another one. This involves a 20-year-old college student. It's his very first overnight shift at a big 24-hour supermarket, Waldoms, working midnight to 8 a.m.
Tough shift.
Yeah.
Especially the first time.
Right, and to make it creepier, half the store lights are off after 1 a.m. to save power, so it gets really quiet, really isolated pretty quickly.
Sets a mood.
Totally. So he notices this bald guy who keeps walking past the front registers every few minutes. The guy looks kind of official, keys on a key ring clipped to his pants, small backpack. Seems like maybe he's a manager. The student, trying to be proactive on his first night, asks him, "Hey, are you the manager?" The bald guy shakes his hand, but doesn't give his name. Instead, he tells the student to go to the back warehouse and organize some pallets. Says he'll watch the front.
Red flag number one, maybe? A real manager usually introduces themselves, right? Especially to the new guy.
Good point.
And sending the brand new employee alone to the isolated warehouse in the middle of the night while he supposedly watches the front. That feels off. Very off. Standard procedure would likely be the opposite.
Well, the student doesn't question it at the time. As he's walking towards the back, though, he glances back and sees the bald guy fiddling with something near the main entrance door. He said it looked like he was maybe locking it, hitting a switch or something.
Locking it. Okay, that's definitely weird.
He kind of shrugs it off, heads into the warehouse. And there, he meets another guy, tall, wearing a manager's vest. This guy introduces himself. "Hi, I'm Rob, the night manager."
Oh, the real manager.
Exactly. So the student's confused. He's like, "Oh, I just spoke to the other manager," and describes the bald guy. Rob looks totally baffled, says, "No, I'm the only manager on duty tonight."
Oh, wow. Okay, so the bald guy was lying.
Completely. And they barely have time to process this because just as the student is describing the bald guy, boom, all the main lights in the store go out, plunged into darkness except for the glow from the dairy coolers way off.
He cut the power.
Looks like it. Rob tells the student, "Wait here, I'll go check it out," and leaves him alone in the pitch dark warehouse.
Oh, fantastic. Alone in the dark with a liar who just cut the power and locked the doors.
Yeah. The student sits down on a box, pulls out his phone, trying to text his friends about how weird his first night is.
I mean, talk about an escalation. 1 minute it's a boring first shift, the next you're potentially trapped in a dark locked store with someone who clearly has bad intentions. That's terrifying. Your sense of safety just evaporates.
And then it gets worse. He's trying to text and he hears a door open, but from inside the warehouse, not the way Rob went.
Oh no.
Then he hears footsteps. Quiet, slow footsteps, he said. Getting closer. And then a voice, not Rob's voice, calls out, "Hey kid, you in here?"
It's the bald guy. He knew where he sent him.
Had to be. The student panics. He quietly gets up and starts jogging out of the warehouse, back into the dark store, looking for Rob. He whispers Rob's name, nothing. He grabs his jacket, runs to the main entrance, tries the door. Locked, just like he thought.
Cracked.
He hears footsteps coming up behind him fast, turns around, about to scream. But it's Rob.
Oh, thank God.
Rob quickly flicks some kind of lever or switch on the door, unlocks it, and whispers frantically, "Hurry, get outside, go."
Wow.
They both scramble outside. Rob immediately gets on his phone, calls 911, tells them he thinks there's an armed man inside who locked the doors, maybe trying to rob the place.
Makes sense.
But the student, still terrified, tells Rob, "Tell them I think he was coming for me, in the warehouse." Within like 10 minutes, the place is swarming with cops, at least 4 cars.
Good response.
Yeah.
And the student's instinct was probably right.
It seems like it was. They checked the security footage later. It showed the bald guy deliberately circling the store, checking aisles, making sure it was clear. Then he goes to the front, locks the doors, goes to the breaker, cuts the lights, and then walks straight back towards the warehouse, directly to where he'd sent the student.
Chilling. Absolutely calculated. He wasn't just a random weirdo. He had a plan. Isolate the kid, lock him in, cut the lights? For what? We don't know. But it wasn't good. That student had a seriously narrow escape. Really highlights how important it is to listen to that gut feeling when something seems off.
Definitely. The police searched the store, but the guy was gone. Must have slipped out an emergency exit in the warehouse before they arrived.
And never identified.
Never identified. And you can bet the student never worked another overnight shift. I wouldn't either. Okay, our last story tonight. This one's maybe quieter, but just as unsettling. It focuses more on that silent, watching presence.
Okay.
This happens at a big supermarket out in a more rural area called Great American. The narrator works night restock, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Usually he works with a partner, a guy named Terry.
So not always alone then?
Not usually. He gets there at 10, expecting Terry, lets himself in the back, starts working, but Terry's not showing up. He'd left the back door propped open with a door stopper, thinking Terry would be along soon. But a bit later, he goes back and finds the door shut, and the stopper is lying outside the door.
Okay, that's odd. Could it have just fallen?
He thought maybe Terry had come in and shut it, so he calls Terry's phone. Terry answers, sounds really sick, says, "No, man, I'm not coming in tonight."
Ah, so Terry didn't move the stopper or shut the door.
Nope. Suddenly, the narrator gets the chills. Because if Terry didn't shut the door, someone else did. Someone who wasn't supposed to be there.
Right. That little detail, the stopper being outside, changes everything. It confirms he's not just alone, but someone else has been there, someone unknown. That immediately puts you on edge. It's that anomaly, that thing that doesn't fit, that triggers the alarm bells.
He tries to rationalize it. Maybe the stopper just slipped, the wind. But he feels uneasy. Then he hears it. A loud noise echoing from way across the main shopping floor.
Definitely not alone then.
Now he knows someone's in there. He walks cautiously towards the middle aisle, peering down towards the other end of the store, and he sees him, all the way down in the dairy section. A man, dressed all in black, walking past the aisle opening and looking directly at him.
Oh, wow. Just staring.
Yeah. He said his heart just dropped. He instantly thought of that creepy scene in the movie Signs where the alien walks past the alley.
I know the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a terrifying image.
He tries to think logically again. Maybe it's a fill-in worker for Terry they didn't tell him about. So he starts walking quickly down the main center aisle. Calls out, "Excuse me."
Does the guy respond?
Nope. The man just vanishes down an aisle, then reappears at the end of another one, just standing there facing him, then walks away again. It's like this bizarre, silent game of cat and mouse.
That's incredibly unnerving.
He tries again, runs to try and catch up, yells, "Excuse me," again. Still nothing. Can't get a good look at his face.
The silence is what makes it so creepy, I think.
Yeah.
That lack of any normal human interaction, just the watching, the disappearing, it ramps up the fear because you have no idea what this person wants or what they're capable of. It's pure uncertainty. Your mind fills in the blanks.
Yeah.
Usually with the worst possibilities.
It peaks when he spots the man again down at the end of the bread aisle. He's kind of half hidden behind the shelving unit, and his mouth is just hanging open. Yeah. And he's waving. Like beckoning the narrator over towards him, but still saying nothing, just waving mouth open. The narrator said his face was just freaking him out.
I can only imagine.
He tries one last time, yells out, "Who are you?" The man just disappears behind the shelf again.
Okay, that's enough.
That was it for the narrator. He's thinking, I don't get paid enough for this. He heads straight outside to his car, locks the doors, and calls his boss.
Good call.
Boss tells him, either get the guy out of there or call the cops. He's definitely not trying to physically remove some crazy person, his words. So he calls 911.
Smart move.
He waits in his locked car until a police officer arrives. They both go back inside. And there the guy is, again, just standing weirdly in one of the aisles like he's still playing the game.
Unbelievable.
The officer tells him to come here, and thankfully the guy complies. They cuff him. The narrator got a closer look then, described him as the strangest man I'd ever seen, said he was constantly smiling at him, looking right at him and licking his lips, had huge bags under his eyes.
Oh, deeply disturbing, that description.
Right, and when the officer asked him what he was doing there, his only answer was, looking for a snack.
Looking for a snack. While terrorizing the only employee in the store. That doesn't add up. That smile, the lip licking, it sounds incredibly menacing, like the whole thing was some kind of perverse game to him. That image of him being let out, still smiling like that, would stick with you forever. It's a reminder of how profoundly disturbing encounters with people who operate completely outside normal behavior can be.
Totally. And the narrator. He said after that night, he never left any doors propped open again, ever. So, 3 stories. 3 different grocery stores, 3 very different kinds of unsettling encounters. But there's that common thread, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's how these utterly mundane places, these backgrounds to our everyday lives, can just instantly transform into stages for real fear, real terror.
Yeah, places that are supposed to feel safe, familiar, suddenly they're not. All it takes is one person acting outside the norms, one unexpected intrusion.
And it really speaks to that vulnerability we all have, maybe without even realizing it, even in public spaces. These stories are such potent examples of why we need to trust our instincts. That little feeling that something's wrong. It's often right. Pay attention to those signs, even if they seem illogical at first. Your subconscious is often picking up on danger cues.
It makes you think, doesn't it? About those little moments of unease we've all probably felt somewhere familiar and just dismissed. That lingering feeling. It reminds you that sometimes the scariest stories really are the true ones. The ones that happen right down the street.
They certainly stick with you.
Well, thank you for joining us on this rather unsettling journey today. We hope it gave you something to think about, maybe in a creepy way.
Stay safe out there.
Definitely. And if you found these stories intriguing or chilling, please do us a favor like this. Share it and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We'd really appreciate your support for more content like this. Thanks for listening.